Hey, what is up, YouTube? Major G. And I was recently told about this, about a trailer for something about the new Discovery, which is something about Star Trek. I think it might be the new series. And so I've been hearing about how they're. My friend told me I really need to see this. I really need to see this because I'm a big Trek fan, and I've been a Trek fan since like single digits. I grew up with Star Trek the animated series, and I still remember the first Star Trek movie I ever saw in a movie theater was Star Trek VI at the Cineplex Odeon in was it Woodbridge, New Jersey, and that was a great movie. That was such a great movie, The Undiscovered Country, and then I ended up pretty much seeing. After that, I think I went to Next Generation, and from there, I've seen basically every Star Trek except for the original series. I haven't yet seen the original series to completion, and I've seen all of the movies except for motion picture. So, yeah, I'm definitely a big Trek fan. In fact, I first started going to conventions because the only ones I ever heard of when I was a kid were the Star Trek conventions. But they were pretty much, at that time, all on the West Coast. Vegas, I think there was one in like LA or San Francisco or something. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a Star Trek convention in San Francisco, considering that's where Starfleet Academy is. But yeah, so I was told, hey, you got to check out the new look for this new ship, Discovery. So I don't really know much about what the new series is going to be about. Considering that all of the considering that all of the new considering that the new Enterprise crew are all basically movie stars, excepting Zachary Quinto, but he is basically movies now. And then it's unlikely that we're going to get like a Star Trek series with featuring those same characters. Man, I'm sorry, I just woke up. Okay. Alright, so, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and check this out. First look, test flight of Star Trek's USS Discovery. Why does that look like a Klingon battle cruiser or Klingon bird of prey with a saucer attached? 1031. CBS All Access, January 2017. Okay. Um, Fascinating. All right, so I did learn something from this. What I learned from watching this trailer is that this is going to be this is going to take place sometime between the Kirk era and the Enterprise era. And let's see. So James Kirk became the captain of the Enterprise in sorry. So James Kirk became the captain of the Enterprise in the 2250s, I want to say. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay. So, no, 2240, 2240s or 50s. And that would make sense because the Enterprise D, no, that was like, okay, so let me think, 2350s? Enterprise D, Star Trek Next Generation takes place in like the 2340s, 2350s? Something like that. And Jonathan Archer was like another. Oh, that's right. Okay. So, Archer was around in the early 2200s because in the first Star Trek reboot movie, Scotty has a throwaway line where he says that he transported Porthos, who was Admiral Archer at the time, Admiral Archer's Beagle, into space or somewhere, like into the unknown. He transported it into the unknown, and it disappeared. Maybe it'll come through time, righting wrongs, which must be right. No, sorry, Quantum Leap joke. Making right what once was wrong. That's what it was. Making right what once was wrong. Yeah, Quantum Leap joke. Sorry. But anyway. So yeah. So the reason I say that this is somewhere between the early 2200s. In like 22, so this is probably gonna be, I would almost say this is probably going to take place maybe about 10 or 15 years before the events of Star Trek. And the reason I say all this is because you can tell by the desert. For one thing, the ship itself looks primitive, relatively primitive, because of the was it displacer? I can't think of the thing, but there was a little blue circle under the saucer section, which is where the bridge is. And deflector, that's what I was thinking of. So that's the deflector dish. So the deflector dish looks kind of like a little circle, whereas in Star Trek and everything after Star Trek, it's a dish. It's more of a satellite dish almost, and you really get a good look at that during First Contact. You can generally see it if you've ever seen any Star Trek series, but especially if you've ever seen Star Trek First Contact, there's an entire scene where Worf and Data, I want to say it is. I think it's Worf and Data are wandering around. It was either Worf and Data or Worf and Riker. We're walking around the deflector dish, and so it looks like a big giant satellite dish in later ships. Whereas in this one, it's just like kind of like a little circle. Also, it doesn't look as futuristic as a lot of the other ships. But the main thing, the primary reason you know that this is going to take place before the Star Trek era, but it has to be sometime after the Enterprise era, is the designation. The designation of the ship was NCC 1031. Any Star Trek fan will be able to tell you that the original Enterprise's that the Enterprise's designation is NCC 1701, and the designation basically says what number that ship is in the order of ships that were made. So the reason why you have a 17, why even in 23 whatever, the Enterprise D is 17 is still 1701 is because they're still sharing that same designation. It's still the Enterprise. It's a direct sequel of the Enterprise series. So it keeps that designation because it's the flagship. The Enterprise is considered to be the flagship thanks to James Kirk. Whereas if you look at every other ship in that day, for example, in the 2300s, all the other ships have like 5 digits. It's like 11081 or something. So like they have 5 digits, whereas the Enterprise, the original Enterprise with, well, not original, but the main Enterprise with James Kirk is just 1701 because it was the 1701st ship that was ever created by the Federation. Also, the secondary thing, and the reason why we know that it's after Enterprise is because the designation starts with NCC. In Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, the designation of the Enterprise is NX-01. And that's because it was the very first work-capable mass-produced ship that they ever created. And I think that class was called the NX class, I'm going to say. And they were basically prototype ships. Those were basically like prototype ships. And you actually see it in if you got a chance to see the new Star Trek, that ship that they fly out, I don't know why people thought it was a new ship. I knew it when I saw the trailer. That was an NX ship. Same because it was the exact same class that Jonathan Archer's crew flew in Star Trek Enterprise. So that ship that they fly out of the atmosphere and take back to the Spaceport? Starport? I forget. It's either Starport or Spaceport. I forget what they're called. It's so early. But yeah, so that's why the designation was NX 100 something odd, whatever, because that was an NX class, and apparently that was before there was a Federation. I didn't realize that. Yeah. I've seen Enterprise, but I never really realized that the events of Enterprise took place before the Federation. Anyway, that's for my Star Trek review. I'll talk about that later. Or I'll do that later. But yes, so, learned something new with this. That's actually pretty cool. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this. And hopefully they'll have a more solid plan than what they did for Enterprise. Because Enterprise had some good... It had some good stories, but I don't know. It was almost like it wasn't really completely thought through. So I'm looking forward to Discovery, and I would like to see what comes next with it. So what do you guys think of Discovery? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Like my video, share as well. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, I will see you guys later. In the cartoon, Underdog was like a person, basically. He was not like, yeah, Underdog was like a person, not like he just happened to be physically a dog. Like Brian, perfect, just an example. In the cartoon, Underdog was like Brian.